Hey everyone. Imagine if we could unlock a happier life just by changing the agreements we make with ourselves,
Yeah.
and the world.
Yeah.
Sounds a little out there, right?
Right.
But that's the whole idea behind this book we're diving into today, The Four Agreements.
By Don Miguel Ruiz.
Exactly. Don Miguel Ruiz, he draws on this ancient Toltec wisdom, and it's actually pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So today we're going to really unpack these agreements, see how they actually work, and we've got some seriously insightful analysis of the book to help us do just that.
Yeah, and what I find fascinating about this book is it's not like a quick fix, It's more like it taps into this whole tradition where happiness isn't some far off dream, it's actually achievable.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not about changing the world around us, it's about changing ourselves.
Right.
And that's where the first agreement comes in. Be impeccable with your words.
It's powerful stuff.
Right. I mean, think about it. We've all heard that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say.
Right, but this goes even deeper than just being polite,
Oh, yeah.
The source talks about this Toltec idea of mitot. It's basically this constant inner dialogue we have with ourselves. And it says our words, whether we say them out loud or just think them, they have this kind of magic to them.
Interesting.
They really shape our reality, and impact us and the people around us.
It's like our words are literally the building blocks for the world we experience.
Yes, exactly.
So when we're negative, whether it's towards others or even ourselves, it creates this kind of poisonous atmosphere.
Yeah, and you know what it's like? It's like a boomerang. Oh, tell me more about that.
Like you throw that negativity out there, even if it's aimed somewhere else, it always seems to swing right back at us.
Like, have you ever noticed when you complain about your boss, it just makes you feel even worse?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
That's so true.
So the key takeaway here, and it's a big one, is that if we can cultivate kindness in the way we speak, both to other people and to ourselves, that can be a total game changer.
It's such a small shift, but it can have a huge impact, right?
Exactly.
It's like, whoa, every word matters.
It does. Now, the second agreement is where things get even more interesting. Don't take anything personal.
Oh, this one speaks to me.
Right.
Because haven't we all been there where we feel personally attacked by something?
Yeah.
Even if it's something really small? Oh, absolutely. All the time. Right. But what this agreement wants us to do is to look beyond that initial reaction. Look beyond the surface.
Okay, I'm listening because I need to learn how to do that better.
Yeah, and the analysis that we're looking at here, it stresses that a lot of times what people say or do really comes from their own stuff,
Their own baggage.
Exactly. It's a reflection of their own internal world, not necessarily about you.
That doesn't excuse bad behavior, though.
Of course not. No. It doesn't give anyone a free pass.
Right. It's not about letting people off the hook.
Exactly. But it is about understanding where it's really coming from.
Okay.
Because everyone's fighting their own battles, carrying around their own baggage.
Oh, and that's so important to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, and that baggage, it's not yours to carry. This agreement is about, freeing yourself from owning other people's negativity.
So that coworker who snaps at you in the morning.
Exactly. They probably had a flat tire or something.
Right. It's probably not even about you.
Yeah, it's about giving people the benefit of the doubt. Realizing that their bad mood might be because of a million other things that have nothing to do with you.
It's so true. And it's so easy to forget. I remember this one time, I totally misread an email from a colleague. I was convinced they were being dismissive.
Oh, I have been there.
Got super defensive. And it turned out they were just having the most stressful day. It had nothing to do with me.
It's amazing how we create these whole stories in our heads based on, nothing, right?
It's so true.
And that actually leads perfectly to the third agreement. Don't make assumptions.
Oh, we are all guilty of this.
Aren't we?
All the time.
Our brains love to connect the dots, even when there are no dots to connect.
It's true. It's like we see a tiny part of the picture and our minds just automatically try to fill in the rest.
Right. But the problem is we usually use our own biases and past experiences to fill in those blanks instead of, actually getting the full story.
Right.
And that's where things can go off the rails a little bit, Instead of seeing things clearly, we're seeing them through this filter of our own making.
Right.
And then we end up reacting to this story we've made up in our heads instead of what's actually happening.
It's like that game of telephone.
Exactly.
It gets more and more distorted, and by the end, it's like, what are we even talking about?
And the funny thing is, the solution is so simple. Ask questions.
It's so simple.
Right.
But so hard to do sometimes.
It is. But instead of just assuming you know what someone else is thinking or feeling, just ask them. You might be surprised by what you hear.
It's like we get so stuck in our own heads, making assumptions and letting them like control how we react to everything.
It's so true. And what's really interesting is how this all ties back to that idea of agreements, the ones we were talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because when we just accept something without really questioning it, it becomes part of our own personal rule book.
It's like those beliefs become our own personal agreements, right?
Exactly. And they really shape how we see everything.
So if we're always making assumptions, jumping to conclusions, we're basically just like reinforcing this whole belief system that might not even be accurate.
Exactly. And we miss out on really connecting with people, understanding them, because we're so stuck in our own heads.
Oh, totally.
And you know what? It becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, tell me more about that.
We assume the worst is going to happen, so we act accordingly, and then guess what? The worst happens. But not always because it was going to happen anyway, but because we kind of made it happen with our thinking.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. And to break free from that, we have to make an effort to question those automatic thoughts.
So it's about like choosing to see things with fresh eyes.
Right, exactly.
Approaching each situation with curiosity instead of letting our assumptions like paint the whole picture for us.
I love that. And you know what this leads to perfectly?
What's that?
The fourth agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Always do your best.
Okay, so I have to admit, when I first read this one, I kind of felt a little pressure.
Oh, I totally get it.
Like, am I always doing my best?
Right, like it's this constant pressure to be pushing ourselves to the limit all the time. But that's not what it's about.
Okay, good.
It's not about reaching this like perfect state of being. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay, phew. So what is it about then? What does it actually mean to always do your best?
So the key here, and the source really emphasizes this, is that your best is not this fixed thing.
Okay.
It changes. It's going to look different every day, even from one moment to the next.
That makes sense.
Some days you're going to be totally on fire, right?
Right.
Crushing it, no problem. Other days, just getting out of bed is a win.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
And both of those are totally okay.
Right. It's more about, like, just showing up fully in each moment with whatever you've got.
Yes, it's about the effort, the intention.
Not about being perfect.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And you know what? The source makes a really good point about how freeing it is to think this way.
Yeah.
When we let go of needing to be perfect, when we can accept that it's okay to be a little messy sometimes, it's like this weight is lifted. We can actually enjoy the process.
It's so true because, like, when we're so focused on the end result, the big goal, we totally miss out on all the good stuff that happens along the way.
Exactly. It's like, imagine you're hiking through this beautiful forest. You're so focused on getting to the top of the mountain that you don't even notice the trees, the sunlight,
The sounds, the smells.
Exactly. You miss it all.
Or like going to a concert and spending the whole time on your phone.
Oh, the worst.
You're missing the whole experience.
Exactly. So this agreement is all about being present, enjoying the journey, not just the destination.
It's like a total shift in how we see things, right?
It really is.
Instead of, am I good enough? It's, am I showing up like authentically and giving it my all right now?
Yes.
Takes the pressure off,
Absolutely. And just think about how that can impact everything else.
Yeah.
When you're not so worried about messing up, you're more likely to try new things.
Right. Step outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. And that's where you really grow, discover your potential.
It's true. Fear of failure can be such a creativity killer.
Oh, totally. It keeps us small.
But when we can let go of that, embrace the learning process, focus on doing our best right now in this moment, that's when the magic happens.
It's like, when you're learning to ride a bike, you don't just hop on and become a pro instantly.
Right.
There's going to be some wobbling, maybe a few falls.
Right.
But each time, you learn a little something, you adjust, and eventually you find your balance.
It's a perfect analogy.
That's right.
It's not about nailing it every time. It's about embracing those stumbles.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about all 4 agreements. But just knowing about them isn't enough.
Right.
Right?
Right.
How do we actually start living these agreements, like making them a part of our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question. And, the source even acknowledges it's not always easy. It's not like, oh, flip a switch and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's a process.
It takes effort, patience, and a lot of self-compassion.
It's not about being perfect, right? It's about progress, those small steps forward.
Exactly. It's like noticing when we slip up, because we all do, and gently steering ourselves back on track. It's remembering that personal growth is a journey.
It's like having a mantra, something you can come back to when you catch yourself falling into old habits.
I love that. And the best part is, even small changes, little shifts we make to align ourselves with these agreements, they can make a huge difference in our lives.
So we don't have to like master all 4 agreements perfectly right from the start.
No, not at all. Even focusing on just one can be a total game changer. And it might be a different one depending on what's going on in your life, you know?
That makes sense.
The key is to just keep exploring them, experimenting, seeing how they can best support you on your journey.
It's been amazing unpacking all of this with you today.
It really has.
And as we wrap up, I'm curious, is there one agreement that's really speaking to you right now?
You know, it's funny you ask, but always do your best is really resonating with me today. It's a good reminder that my best is going to look different every day, and that that's okay. The important thing is to show up fully, give it my all, even if my all is different from one day to the next.
I love that. For me, I think it's don't take anything personally.
It's a good one.
It's so simple, but so powerful.
Absolutely.
And for everyone listening, we'd love to hear from you. Which agreement speaks to you the most? What's one tiny step you can take today to bring these agreements into your life? Until next time, happy deep diving, everyone.